Bodies in boxing, 30 weight divisions. This indeed can be a very confusing sport. To better understand the background of the Crown Affair, let's look at how the heavyweight division wound up with 2 championships. From the time of the first heavyweight champion of the modern era, John L. Sullivan, until early in the reign of the fighter then known as Cassius Clay, the heavyweight title was held by one undisputed champion. But after Clay upset Sonny Liston in 1964, the World Boxing Association said that Clay could not give Liston an immediate rematch because it violated their rules. Clay ignored the WBA, as did almost everybody else at the time. Most people know that Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali and knocked out Liston again in the controversial rematch. But few people remember that the WBA had stripped Ali and named Ernie Terrell as the champion. In fact, Terrell held the WBA version of the heavyweight title for almost 2 years, until his 1967 bout with Ali, boxing's first heavyweight unification. Ali winning by an easy 15-round decision to regain the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. The heavyweight title picture remained clear for only a few months until this day in Houston, Texas, when Muhammad Ali refused induction into the United States Army and was quickly stripped of his championship. Then Jimmy Ellis on the right won the elimination tournament to become the WBA heavyweight title holder. Joe Frazier on the left was recognized as champion by New York and 4 other states until this 1970 bout, when Frazier destroyed Ellis to become world heavyweight champ. But there were many who continued to regard Ali as the true champion until he met Frazier in their classic 1971 fight, highlighted by this Frazier hook in the 15th round. Ali also figured on the most recent splitting of the heavyweight title. When he lost to Leon Spinks, the WBC insisted that Spinks fight its #1 contender, Ken Norton. But Spinks gave Ali the rematch instead and was stripped of the WBC, so that when Ali won his 3rd heavyweight crown, it was only half a championship, the WBA version. In the crazy world of boxing politics, the WBC champion became Kenny Norton, who was awarded the championship belt not after a victory in the ring, but at a Los Angeles press conference. In Norton's first defense of his WBC crown, he met Larry Holmes in what many people consider the last great heavyweight fight. At ringside that night, Howard Cosell.
I'll give Holmes the credit for a courage. He's barely standing on his feet. He was sidewise a second ago, but he is still standing and trying to throw his own lever. We have less than 15 seconds left in the fight. Kenny is tired. The sting has gone out of his punches. He's punched himself out. There'll be no knockdown. The fight, and a great fight, has come to an end.
Since that night, almost 5 years ago, Larry Holmes has dominated the heavyweight division. We'll take a look at his career as champion in just a moment. Larry Holmes began his defense of the WBC heavyweight title in November of 1978 against Alfredo Evangelista, who provided little opposition before going out in round 7. Defense number 2 against unbeaten but untested Ossie Ocasio, who couldn't even stand up to the Holmes jab and went out in another 7th round knockout. But Larry's 3rd opponent, his champion, proved to be a true threat. Lightly regarded coming into the fight, Mike Weaver gave Holmes all he could handle, staggering the champion here in round 9. But Larry hung in and summoned up the strength to score a knockdown in the closing seconds of round 11. He stopped Weaver a round later. Defense number 4 also had a critical moment here in round 7, when the division's hardest puncher, Ernie Shavers, caught Larry with a tremendous right hand. But again, Larry recovered and came back to stop his opponent when the referee saved Shavers from a terrible beating here in round 11. Then a series of easy defenses, beginning with an inept Lorenzo Zanon, who quit in the 6th round. The flabby figure of Leroy Jones was little more than a punching bag until the ref declared Holmes the winner in round 8. Scott Ledoux took an uncountable number of punches from Holmes until this fight was stopped in the 7th round. Then a fight that failed miserably to live up to its hype as the pathetic Muhammad Ali offered virtually no opposition until his trainer Angelo Dundee refused to allow him to come out for round 11. Larry Holmes' record string of title defense knockouts was stopped at 8 when Trevor Berbick lost virtually every round, but did go the distance with him. Many people expected former champion Leon Spinks to give Larry a test, but it was no contest as Holmes battered Leon and scored a third-round TKO. Larry was dominating his next defense against Ronaldo Snipes when the challenger caught him with a big right hand that had the champion down and almost out in round 7. But in characteristic style, Holmes survived the crisis, reestablished his control, and eventually won by TKO in round 11. Then the biggest money fight of all time, Holmes against Cooney. And despite the Cooney reputation as a knockout puncher, it was Holmes that was the winner by knockout in round 13. From that high point, Larry's last 2 defenses have been terrible mismatches. First against Randy Tex Cobb, who took 15 rounds of punishment in losing a lopsided decision. And then the mediocre Frenchman, Lucien Rodriguez, who seemed content just to go the distance with Larry. Neither fight added much to the Holmes public image, which has been somewhat less than one would expect, given Larry Holmes' outstanding ring record. Statistically, Larry Holmes has compiled an impressive list. As we have seen, he holds a share of the all-time record for consecutive heavyweight title defense knockouts. He's second only to Rocky Marciano in consecutive wins by a heavyweight champion and could conceivably pass Marciano before he calls it quits. In his 14 title defenses, Holmes has been remarkably dominant, winning 115 rounds on a majority of the scorecards as opposed to only 25 for his opponents. And perhaps most remarkable, Larry can join Rocky Marciano as the only world champion of the modern era in any division who went undefeated for their entire career. But while the numbers are impressive, Larry Holmes has failed to really capture the imagination of the public. Everyone knows that whoever succeeded Ali would lose out of the inevitable comparisons. But Larry Holmes may be justified in wondering what more he has to do to win the recognition he feels he has earned. And although he denies it, the public acceptance he yearns for. While these ladies would probably put Larry at the top of their list of all-time greats, many boxing fans are reserving judgment. The critics cite a number of points denying Larry a place in the list of all-time heavyweight greats. They cite his susceptibility to right-hand punchers like Ernie Shavers, the shocking knockdowns by Shavers, and then by Ronaldo Snipes. They forget that Larry Holmes got off the deck both times to score knockouts. And they also forget that a lot of great champions got knocked down. Greats like Joe Louis, who was down 9 times in his career, sometimes to legitimate contenders like Buddy Bear. And sometimes to the likes of 2-ton Tony Galento, who had Louis down in their 1939 bout with this left hand. Many forget that Rocky Marciano was knocked down by 38-year-old Joe Walcott, and here by 40-ish Archie Moore, who was well past his prime. The critics say that Holmes never beat anybody, that he has had a steady diet of mediocrities like Lorenzo Zanon. They forget, perhaps, that Joe Louis defended against such a steady stream of talentless people like Abe Simon that they called it the Bum of the Month Club. And although Marciano listed names like Ezra Charles, Walcott, Moore, and here Joe Louis among his victims, all were well past their primes. As for Larry Holmes, he says he doesn't care what people think. He says he just wants to avoid the mistakes made by fighters like Louis, fighters who stayed around too long.
It's always another dollar somebody can make. They're always going to bring and offer you another dollar if they can make $2 from you. And these are the things that I have to realize. What means more to me is being able to get out with all my health, my faculties. This year I'm fighting Witherspoon and Page or whoever. And then this might be my last year of boxing. I feel that I've done it all. There's no more mountains to climb. There's no more goals to make. It's just I want to do other things and different things in life now aside boxing and reaching other goals.
But right now, his immediate goal is Friday's fight against young Tim Witherspoon. At 33, Larry knows he can't cut corners as he continues in pursuit of his dream of retiring as the undefeated heavyweight boxing champion.
If you got a dream, work at your dream. Your dream will come true, but they don't come true by you sitting on your butt. You have to work at them.
We'll return in a moment with a look at the unbeaten challenger for Tim Witherspoon. The single most important factor holding Larry Holmes back from the universal acclaim he thinks he deserves is a factor really beyond his own control, the lack of a great opponent. While Dempsey had Tunney, Ali had Frazier, Larry Holmes has had Muhammad Ali and Jerry Cooney as glamour opponents, but both were disappointing. On Friday night, he'll face a relatively unknown and untested young fighter with the name of Tim Witherspoon. He is unbeaten in his brief professional career, but the fact is, the young man they call Terrible Tim has had little in terms of quality opposition. His main weapon is a powerful straight right hand that has accounted for the majority of his 11 knockouts. The one-name opponent was his last one, Ronaldo Snipes, way back in June of last year. Witherspoon established an early lead and then held on for a split decision that moved him into position for the title shot he gets Friday night. Predictably, his trainer says Witherspoon's lack of experience will not be a factor against Larry Holmes.
Leon Spinks had 7 fights compared to some 40 fights that Muhammad Ali had, but he did not fail. And I think that, like in David, who slew Goliath, look at all the fights that Goliath had and the ones that David had, but yet still he killed the giant. No doubt in my mind that Larry Holmes is the giant, and Tim Witherspoon is David, and he tends to slew him.
Well, Witherspoon's going to have to try to work his way inside. He's going to have to try to take advantage of his strength and his power and his youth, and he's going to have to try to set the pace and force Larry into the ropes and into the corners where he will have to fight him, because Witherspoon cannot box with him.
A lot of guys have tried that, though. It hasn't succeeded.
Yes, I think he's going to find it a very difficult task.
Well, I'm going to have to do what I can. That's true, he has an excellent jab, but I'm going to have to do what I can to take him out. I don't care what it is. If I have to be the Tasmanian Devil that night, that's what I'm going to be.
So it'll be WBC champion Larry Holmes defending against Tim Witherspoon Friday night. The co-featured main event will be for the WBA heavyweight crown held by Michael Dokes, making his first title defense against the man he won the title from, Mike Weaver. We'll be back with a preview of that bout in just a moment. The WBC championship bout, the WBA heavyweight title also goes on the line on this fight card. It's a rematch of a strange fight, a controversial ending back in December. Michael Dokes upsetting the champion Mike Weaver in very quick order. The date, December 10th. The site, Las Vegas, Nevada. The announcer, Keith Jackson.
Here's Michael Dokes coming out with a big flurry, and he lashes the left hook and a stiff jab to the face of Mike Weaver. Weaver goes down from a wicked left hook. Michael Dokes nailed Weaver flush on the jaw with a left hook. Weaver coming out a bit slowly, and Dokes came out like a raging thunderstorm, and he's trying to get Weaver early. There is always a considered risk here. If Weaver weathers the storm, Dokes will have to somewhere along the way find some reserve. He brings the right hand over the top and catches Weaver on the side of the head. Weaver now leaning back against the ropes, trying to cover, trying to weather the storm. 3 knockdown rule is in effect in WBA, and the fight has been stopped. Joey Curtis, the referee, has stopped the fight in the very first round.
So people thought the ref stopped the fight prematurely. The WBA ordered an immediate rematch. Dokes says he doesn't care about the uproar. With all the controversy that happened that night and has swirled around since, do you think in some way that's taken away from the recognition you must feel you deserve for winning the title?
Yeah, well, that depends on the fighter. If they let the media pull him into that type of trend or stereotype, doubting his confidence and his ability, to me, myself, self-approval is the most important thing. That's what drives people. That's what makes people great. There's self-determination. So in my eyes, there's no controversy. That's why it's called a defense, and that's why I'm receiving the big end and he's getting the little end. So I'm satisfied.
It's been a long road to the title for Michael Dokes from the time he first appeared on the national scene at age 17, when he was an outstanding amateur fighter, blessed with tremendous hand and foot speed. He also had the brashness of youth in appraising his talent and his future.
You're right about that. In the years I'm in two, I plan on being the world's heavyweight champion. So I'm starting out young.
He did indeed start out young. When Larry Holmes was already defending his title, Dokes was fighting 6-round preliminary bouts, learning his trade as a professional boxer. He was a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali, obviously intent on impressing the fans and the former champion with his talents in this exhibition bout. He ran up a string of victories, sometimes showing impressive punching power, and matured into a full-fledged heavyweight. His first big-name opponent was Jimmy Young, who was a far cry from the man who beat George Foreman and lost a controversial decision to Muhammad Ali, but still, it was a step for Dokes in pursuit of the heavyweight title. The first black mark on Dokes' record came, and he was held to a draw by Ozzy Ocasio, and about many thought he was lucky to get the draw. But Michael erased that black mark in his record by stopping Ocasio in the first round of their rematch. Now he is the WBA heavyweight champion of the world, training for his first title defense. Some things have changed, and some haven't.
I'm the champ now, so my outlook is a little bit different, but my training and procedures are just the same. I'm still as hungry as I was before. I haven't really established myself yet as a great champion, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Mike Weaver's working to take back from Michael Dokes the title he feels was wrongly taken from him. A look at the former champion right after this. Mike Weaver's fans were very upset by the quick stoppage of his fight with Dokes. They said his entire career was marked by Weaver comebacks, from early punishment to score dramatic late knockouts. When he challenged Big John Tate for the title in 1980, by this stage in round 15, he needed a KO to win.
By Weaver. I guess Mike's nose is bleeding a little bit. Maybe what it is. Left there. Tate goes down on his face. Weaver hit him with a left hook, and Tate is down. He is just beginning to move. The fight is over. Weaver has knocked him out in the 15th round. With less than a minute to go in the 15th round, Weaver knocked him cold. Incredible.
Weaver's first defense against Harry Coetzee was not that incredible, but again he overcame a lead by his opponent to score a knockout in the 13th round with this devastating right. Those were the good times for Mike Weaver. He was the reigning WBA world champion. But times have changed. He is now an ex-champion, in the gym, training for what may be his last chance at a title. Over the years, Weaver's had a reputation as a fighter who was reluctant to punish himself hard enough to reach peak condition. But his trainer, Don Manuel, says the loss to Dokes certainly changed all that.
Well, I would say he was like 80% in the gym for the first fight, and he's 100% this time. You know, the guy wants his championship back, and he didn't like the way they took. He think that they took it away from him, and he's prepared to take it back.
He's motivated.
Yes, he is. We all are. You know, everybody in the gym is excited. You know, everybody that works with him is excited. So, I mean, they're having walls in the gym, you know, so it's great for Mike, you know. Maybe this woke him up, what happened, and now I think his mind and everything is clear, so he'll knock Dokes out.
Manuel says Mike's mind is now clear, which, if true, could be an important factor because people around Weaver have worried at times about his concentration on the sport. He's a quiet, sensitive man, obviously happier and more comfortable practicing the piano than in the ring. Mike, was part of the problem, and has the problem been throughout your career, that basically you're a nice guy, a mild-mannered person, you're not a blowhard, you're not a big mouth or anything, so that when you get in the ring, does it take you a while to work up to a fighting stance?
In the past, that has been the case. Since I'm not a violent person and not particularly in love with the game of boxing, it has been hard for me to just go out there and try to hurt somebody, knowing that this is what they're trying to do to me. It usually takes me 3 or 4 rounds to feel these guys say these guys are trying to hurt me, to wake me up. But now that has been the case, but I don't think May 20th is going to be a different Michael Weaver in the ring.
You'll set your alarm clock earlier and wake up sooner, right?
Much earlier.
Also on Friday night's card will be a USBA heavyweight title fight, with Greg Page defending, Ronaldo Snipes challenging. Page scored his most impressive win as a pro on the undercard of the Holmes-Cobb bout, when he came back from an early knockdown to stop James Quick-Tillis in round number 8. Snipes is coming off his best win as he upset Trevor Berbick last October. Instead of his usual running tactics, Ronaldo fought flat-footed against Berbick and scored a first-round knockdown on his way to a unanimous decision. The winner of this fight should get a title shot later in the year. The 4th title fight will have WBA junior heavyweight champion Ossie Ocasio defending against the #1 WBA contender Randy Stevens. 2 strong undercard fights before the co-featured main events. WBC champion Larry Holmes against unbeaten challenger Tim Witherspoon, and WBA champion Michael Dokes against former champ Mike Weaver. The Crown Affair.
This ESPN program has been brought to you by Budweiser Light. The best never comes easy. That's why there's nothing else like it.
This event will take place May 20th in Las Vegas and will be presented on a pay-per-view basis by RSVP, a joint venture of ESPN and ABC Video Enterprises. This event will not be seen on ESPN. Call your local cable system to find out if the event will be available in your area.